Welcome to Mompreneurs Making Moves, and I'm your host, Amariah Murdoch, founder and CEO of Infinite Exec. And joining me here today is Mika Leah, founder and CEO of Gumi Group. And I mean, talk about a powerful story. Not only is she a heart disease survivor turned wellness warrior, but she's reshaping how we think about health in the workplace. And after surviving 5 heart stents and 3 invasive heart procedures, all before the age of 36, Mika realized wellness wasn't just a personal priority, it was a professional mission. And so, as the founder and CEO of Gumi Group, she's leading a revolution to make health and happiness not just accessible, but essential in corporate culture. Mika, how are you today? Thank you for joining us.
Oh, Maya. Super honored to be here. So thank you for this opportunity.
No, I mean, really, when I think of you, I think about getting to the heart of things, right? Um, and tell us a little bit about that. Why is that such a huge part of your story? The heart disease, how you survived it, what you did with it, how you overcame it, how you're helping people today. Um, Man, talk to us about that. We've got to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, so my story is that basically the short of it is that I found myself in emergency heart surgery shortly after my 33rd birthday, and my babies were 1 and 2 at the time. And I went in and came out with 5 heart stents and 1 "you're lucky to be alive" later. And that experience really made me realize that life is short. And I thought, if my life is short, I really wanted to make the most of my time on this earth. And when I thought about my kids, I thought about spending time with them. I didn't want to be that mom who was working all the time, which I was at the time. So I was working corporate. And one of the jobs that I had, I would literally drop the kids off at school, preschool at, I don't know, I think it was like 7:30 in the morning. I'd be the first one in the door at 8. And then I was the last one to leave at, 7 or 8 o'clock at night. I would lock up. I would get home in time to maybe do bath time if I was lucky. Most nights I missed dinner. And I and I was like, you know what? This can't be what life is about. This life has to be about, I wanted my kids that if something should happen to me, I thought about what I wanted the kids to remember. And I didn't want them to think of me as just the mom who worked all the time, who just came home for bath time. I wanted to be there and present. And so I made the decision to start my own company to really have, there are multiple reasons for it, obviously, to make health and wellness accessible to everyone, really in the hopes that one day I could save a life, but also because realizing health and wellness was so much more than just eating right and exercising, which I was doing. So there was that important piece of it that I wanted to help others to get healthy and happy. But at the same time, I knew that if my life was short, I wanted to spend as much time with my family as possible, with my kids. And that to me that encouraged me to really, it didn't matter. I realized that it didn't matter how much money I made, it mattered the time that I spent with the kids. And so I started the company because I wanted that freedom. I didn't want anybody to tell me I had to be in the office at this time or that time, or I had to work weekends, or I wasn't able to go to the kids. My kids were doing little preschool performances and stuff, which are in the middle of the day. And I didn't want to have to feel guilty for taking off to go to those, or sporting events or whatever it was. And so that really encouraged me to, that experience really kicked me in the butt and made me say, no, this is what I'm going to do. And this is what I want to do.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I love that. And actually, to do that, were there things that you had to say no to in order to say yes to the mompreneur life? What did you have to say no to, and what could you no longer tolerate?
Yeah, so it's funny when you said what did I have to say no to? I'll put a pin in the what I could no longer tolerate, because I think that's a whole different situation. But one of the things that I had to say no to was, you know, some of the luxuries that I had. I had to stop getting my nails done, and I had to make a lot of sacrifices. And actually, one of them was moving from Los Angeles and moving closer to my parents. Believe it or not, I was a single mom at the time.
Mhm.
So, and I was the sole breadwinner, and wasn't getting any money from the ex-husband. So it was just me, and it was just me and the kids. And so I had to give up a lot of financial security, give up healthcare for a little bit. And it was really humbling. And so I actually moved from Los Angeles. I left my network and my friends and everything else, and I moved to be closer to my parents for that support. And my parents really helped me raise the kids until I met my now husband. But I gave up a lot. I mean, I don't think I've ever talked about this on a podcast or a radio show before. Um, but we really struggled financially, and I think I gave up a lot of that. We, there was, yeah, running out of money, having $5 in my bank account, relying on mom and dad to buy vegetables and fruit for the kids and I, counting every penny. And I think that was a lot of what I had to sacrifice. So that's kind of is that what that was the question, right? What did I have to give
Yeah,
up?
I
And
love it.
so I
Yeah, what
gave
did
up
you have to say no to? Yeah.
yeah, um, and that's what I had to kind of, it wasn't necessarily saying no. I think saying no and having boundaries can be a whole separate conversation. So I'll wait till you ask me that that later
Okay,
in the.
yeah. Yeah, no, I love it. Absolutely. And I think that's so valuable how we all think that we sacrifice things, right? Whether we're a mom or not, whether we're a CEO or not. Everyone in their mind has this built-in mechanism to think, I'm giving up or I'm sacrificing so much in some way. And then we think we owe it to ourselves because of the way that we sacrifice, that life owes us a pass or something. Like,
Mm.
well, I just went through 3 years of XYZ and I just came through hell and back. And so now, I mean, I should have a red carpet, but that's not how life works, right?
Yeah,
And
no, and I don't think I ever had that thought ever. I
Mhm.
think that's different. I'm a Gen Xer, and I think our generation tends to like, we have the expectation. I'm going to speak on behalf of my whole generation, but I have done a lot of work on this, which is Gen Xers. We're the byproduct of the boomers, right? And so the boomers got one job, they stayed in it, they worked their way up
Yeah.
the ladder. And our generation, the Gen Xers, was the very same way, which was it was all about sacrifice. We knew that we had to sacrifice by starting in the mailroom and working our way up that corporate ladder. So sacrifice was never something that
That
I
you feel
never felt.
entitled to.
Yeah, I never felt like I was entitled to anything. I always felt like
Mhm.
I had to work hard for it, and I've worked very hard. I think in some of the things that I sacrificed was it's funny. I'm gonna play the tape backwards. When I was working in the corporate space, I sacrificed a lot. I sacrificed time with my kids for work. I sacrificed time at work for money. I sacrificed late nights with children, like not spending time with the family for work and for money. And that was the sacrifice. And then when I started my own company, I didn't feel like I was sacrificing anything. I felt that I was really living that life. Um, and that I was no longer having to sacrifice my time or my effort or any of that for what I wanted, which was more time with the kids.
Yeah.
And I have built this whole company based around family values. And it sounds silly, but everybody on my team and leadership right now is a mom. And they all have kids of all ages. I think the oldest kid is in her late 20s, maybe mid 20s, late 20s. Um, and the youngest baby is like I think he's 10 months old, and there's one on the way, which we're really excited about. So um the I've built this company so that moms can have it all. Like, not that we can always have it all, but that they can feel that they can have a company that they can work at that is family friendly. Like, go take your kid to the volleyball game, or go take your kid to the doctor if he's sick, or don't, or go take off 2 days to go spend time with the family, um because the parents are taking the grandkids. So like, why shouldn't you go along too? Like, there's no reason that you shouldn't go along on those family trips. So the sacrifice piece, I think I sacrificed so much before I started my company, but I don't feel that I sacrifice now. Yeah.
That's really interesting, especially generationally, because I'm pretty sure I'm right after Generation X. I'd have to look at it again. Yeah.
It's also a mindset, the millennial mindset or the Gen X
Yeah.
mindset.
Yeah,
It's a mindset.
exactly. Yeah, that we think we're entitled to something. And so to hear this other perspective, like, no, that's you have to work. Everyone has to work. That
Yeah.
is kind of a wake-up call. Because especially with our instant gratification today and instant fame and instant
Yeah.
this, like we grow up thinking, at least partly my generation grows up thinking, well, we owe it to ourselves and we're owed something because we worked hard and we put in the time and now we're entitled
Yeah.
to success, and that's not how it works.
Yeah, and
Um,
I want to take a pause for a second and talk about the what's owed and the sacrifice. I don't think my advice, if I'm allowed to give advice, or my thinking, I don't know if it's advice, but my thinking on it is that it's not about sacrifice, it's about prioritization. So I'm not sacrificing anything. I'm prioritizing one thing over the other. I might prioritize a night at home as more of a priority in one moment. And
yeah,
another moment, I might prioritize an invitation that I got to a work event that might allow me to meet and network with other people. So I might prioritize that over family time. And it doesn't make me a bad mom or a bad wife or a bad coworker if I'm prioritizing kids one day and work the next. But it's not about sacrificing, it's really about the prioritization. And the priorities can change day to day, minute to minute, hour to hour.
no, absolutely. I love that. And just briefly touch on so we can keep moving on. What did you have to stop tolerating in order to step into the freedom that you have now? Breaking away from corporate and going into Gumi Group. What did you have to stop? Give me one thing you had to stop tolerating.
I don't know. I don't know if I stopped tolerating anything. Like, I don't know if I've tolerated anything. Um, yeah, I had to let go of things. So I had to let go of my a little bit of my imposter syndrome, although I probably still have it. Uh, the but I think that that was one of the things that I had to let go of. But I don't think there was anything I had to stop tolerating.
Okay. And then let's switch gears.
Yeah.
Let's talk about there doesn't seem to be a lot of opportunities, at least from what I can tell, for mompreneurs to join a company that is so friendly to moms. Usually, maternity leave is the most that they get. But then after that, it's head back down and to work, and you got to go and you got to push. Speak to the mom that wants to be involved, either wants to have her own company or wants to be offered generous benefits while still being a working mom, but doesn't seem to find the right opportunities. A, is it possible? And B, what would be your advice to that mom?
So I had both my babies in corporate. So I was working for a company and all I got was 3 months maternity leave, and that was paid. And you could take the extra. So my encouragement is to negotiate that stuff up front or negotiate it, along the way. I think there's a lot of opportunity to negotiate that or to push back a little bit on the company. And if the company says no, you can talk to your boss about that. You know, Post-COVID world, we work a lot. There's so much opportunity in the remote space, even with companies asking employees to come back to the office. But there's a lot of research out there. So I would encourage everybody to do the research. I think there's a book called Remote, and I think it was written by the guys who started, oh my gosh, I'm going to butcher it, like Asana or one of those workflows. And
Sure.
it gives you all the research on how there are a huge amount of employees out there that are more productive actually working from home.
Yeah.
And especially moms. I feel like us moms, we juggle so much. Like I look at the stuff that my team is able to accomplish in one day. And there's no way that they would be able to, if I force them to come into the workspace and I force them to work a traditional 9 to 5, there's no way I'd get the same output. I think actually I see my team working harder because they're like, okay, I have to go to I have to take the kids to the dentist, or I have to take the dog to the vet, or I have to go pick up groceries or whatever, or like they're able to fit in so much more because they're working twice as hard, but it doesn't have to be in the same amount of hours. Um, so I'd encourage the women in the corporate space to ask for what you want and to push for what you want. And there's always room for negotiation. And
Yeah.
then for the women that are like yourself, that are having newborns and trying to do it um all on your own, I and trying to figure that out, I would say one, give yourself grace. Two, you don't have to do it all, as a new mom. It goes so fast. Like, and I'm in this phase in my life as a mom that my son is driving and I'm having to and terrifying, like the scariest part of parenting. Um, so scary. Uh, but it goes really fast. So to really, if you are a mompreneur, taking that time to really enjoy being with the baby and figuring out a way to do both. I learned a long time ago when I first started Gumi Group, somebody told me about balance. And I asked a question, and the tagline for Gumi Group was a balanced life is possible, or something along those lines. I don't even remember. It was so long ago, but it was one of our first taglines. And I was moderating a panel of entrepreneurs, and we were having conversations around wellness, and somebody said balance is never possible. Like you can never be balanced. And my mom gave me this analogy years and years ago, and she's a very wise woman, clinical psychologist, PhD, the whole thing, and you know, very smart. And she once said to me, it's not a balancing act, it's more like a juggling act. And when you're juggling, and I don't know how to juggle, and I don't know anything about juggling, but when I've seen juggling, the person juggling the balls, all the balls are in the air, and one is being caught in one hand, and one is being thrown up in the other, right? And so if we think about our lives like that, we've got multiple balls in the air. We've got the family, that's a ball. We've got the wife, that partner, spouse, whatever, significant other. That's a ball. We've got our social life, like we should have friends, spend time with friends. And then we've got the work, and that's like 4 balls, 4 or 5 balls. I don't even know how many I just mentioned. But you have to realize that your focus can really only be on one ball at a time. Are you catching the ball? Or are you throwing up the ball? Like they're always in movement. So you're
Yeah.
never going to have balance. It's not a scales, like a Liberty scales. It's more like a juggling act. And it's, where do you want to put your focus? Do you want to put it on work? Do you want to put it on friends? Do you want to put it on family? And it's a constant shifting and moving and things like that. And so I think that that's really important for mompreneurs, that um being a mom and having the business, it's always a juggling act, and it's never going to be perfect, and it's never going to be balanced.
That is so funny because I remember telling my mom, I was like, oh, if I'm not doing this, I'm doing that. If I'm not doing that, I'm doing this. And the hats just keep changing constantly. And I've done a lot of things at one time, but this is a whole other level when you become a mom and you have a business and you have to do this and you have to do that. Breastfeeding or exclusively pumping. I mean, there's sub layers within the main layers, right?
Yeah.
And just trying to keep up with all of it, depending on the stage you're in, on any given category. It's a lot. And I kept saying I have to constantly switch hats. And now hearing you say this, that's normal. for a mompreneur. And it's
It's
normal for
totally
a mom.
normal. And it's even normal from like the mom hat,
Yeah.
which to the wife hat. And those are like a switch. And I remember in the beginning, um, how hard that was. And when my husband and I started dating, the kids were pretty young. They were like 5 and 7. And there came a point where we started living together and he was parenting and stuff like that. And he has this saying with the kids, and he's been telling them forever. And he's like, listen, you get mom from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed. But I only get my wife when you go to bed. So it's really important for me that you guys go to bed on time because mom and I need mom and like we call, mom and dad time. We call him
Yeah.
Abba. So like we need mom and Abba time. And that's like the connecting time that we need. And my husband knows that sometimes it's even hard for me. It's hard to switch from work mode to mom mode and then from mom mode to wife mode. And sometimes it's nice to have, as I'm learning, I'm starting to have little routines for myself that allow me to little routines, little habits that allow me to make that switch. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
sometimes it's as simple as in the evenings, I now have most days, I have an alarm that goes off at 5 o'clock and tells me to like quit working. And I won't tell you what time I start because it's really embarrassing. But it's really embarrassing. Um, but I have to put the clock on, the alarm on. And I'm like, you know what? If I quit at 5, it's a solid 12-hour day and it's done. And now I need to switch. But that's my switch mode. Like, okay, now it's done.
Yeah.
And then I go upstairs and I talk with the kids or I talk with the family or we talk about dinner. And then I'm transitioning into that. And then as the night winds down and we do our family time, then I slowly transition to like wife mode. I'm still mom mode, but I'm transitioning into wife mode.
Yeah.
And what that looks like. And then hubby and I have a ritual of like, yeah, kids go to bed. And then we have our ritual, which we've had since we started dating, which is like our time is the second and now the kids are older. Like we just tell them to go to bed, turn
Yeah.
off the
Yeah.
lights, and like, you guys are responsible for putting yourself to bed, whatever. But
Yeah.
we call it a night and we make that switch.
Mm.
Um, Usually around like 9 o'clock, and it's like, okay, now it's our time and whatever we want to do, watch TV, go for a walk, whatever it is,
Yeah.
but that's our time. And I think that that's
That's
really important.
that is. Yeah, that is so important. And one thing that I'd like to touch on briefly, since we're in this realm, is when it comes to being a mom and a wife and a businesswoman, there are, some people that have the very traditional perspective, definitely from the boomer generation, but they're in my generation or younger even, and they say you can't do both. You either need to be a mom and take care of the kids and the house and the this and the that, or you need to be in business and then your house will suffer, but at least you have a successful business. Um, I was told that recently by family. And I understand their concern. It's hard to do both, for sure. It is a lot. But what would you say to that perspective of you can't do both well? One is going to suffer. Either your business is going to suffer because you're a mom or because you're a mom or, vice versa. Or your
Yeah,
business is going to do well, but, you'll be failing as a mom because you're not fully present. What do you say to that perspective?
I completely disagree with it. I think it's completely, can I use the word asinine? Like, it is, that's like the dumbest thing I think I've ever heard. And I've never, I mean, and it was funny. I don't know anybody who believes that. And maybe it's just because I surround myself with other mompreneurs and mom entrepreneurs and I see women. I've got a friend Laura here um, that I meet with on a monthly basis, and she's a mom of 2 kids and she's running like a multi-million-dollar company. And her husband's a pilot and they're doing really well. And she seems like a great mom. And I think dads also have the same thing where I think dads more than moms feel that it's either one or the other. And either dads feel that for the moms And I've seen that in my life, or dads feel that for themselves. And I don't think that's true. I think you can 100, and I'm living proof that you can have both. Like I'm, I have amazing kids. My kids are amazing. Um, and super successful. And at the same time, I have this amazing career and like I am doing both. And I've got a great relationship with my husband. And, we talk through it. And he's now started working for a company that he's giving it his all. And he's working these long days. And sometimes we have to have the conversation of like, hey, this is family time.
Yeah.
And so I think again, for the people that are worried that it has to be all or nothing, you're never going to fail as a mom because you have a successful business. And you're not going to fail and vice versa. You know what I mean? Like you can 100% have both. Like, and I'm always looking at other women entrepreneurs that are out there and I'm on the outside looking in, right? So what do I know of the inside? And I think that's a whole different conversation. But I look at people like Mel Robbins, like she's got these great kids and she's got this great life and she's a super uber successful writer and entrepreneur and she's got this business and she travels around the world giving talks. Um, you just have to prioritize what's important to you.
Yeah.
And if you put priority on family when you're with family and you're fully present for the family. And I think the other thing that women in those situations, people that are saying those things, it's either one or the other and you're going to fail, are also people that don't know how to ask for help. There's a great book. Oh my gosh. I think it's called We Should All Be Millionaires or something like that. It's a female entrepreneur that wrote it. And she talks a lot in her book about asking for help. Like, of course you can't do it all. None of us can.
Yeah.
And if you look at all the successful men too, they have amazing EAs and they have amazing help. They ask for help when they need it. And I think that that's really important. And in the book, it talks about like maybe getting a nanny to come in and like pick up your kids from school and get them home and get dinner started or go grocery shopping for you. And I have found that asking for help where I need it has been life-changing. And my EA, thanks to you, has been life-changing for me. And I actually saw one of your other clients for Infinite Exec,
Yeah.
my chief technology officer. I was like, how does she do it all? Like, what? And I finally sat down with her and I was like, how are you doing it all? And she's like, oh my God, I've got this amazing EA. You gotta talk to Amaraya. And I know we shouldn't be like, I don't mean to pitch you, but
Oh,
the point of the story is that like when I got Ashley and you and I met and you're like, I'm going to find you somebody. I'm like, yeah, I've never had anybody. I've tried. It doesn't work.
yeah.
And then I found this amazing woman with Ashley that she helps me and I'm able to do so much more as a CEO in one day than is ever possible. Like I ever thought possible. And I asked for help
Yeah.
and I saw other women doing it. I saw Lindsay doing it. She gave me you gave me Ashley.
Yeah.
And now I'm able to do so much more. And I tell people all the time, like when you're struggling, especially as an entrepreneur, trying to build a multi-million-dollar company, which is what we're building,
Yeah.
and we've built, when you get to that level, you just got to ask for help. Like, and you need somebody that you can't do it all anymore. And I think that's true for moms too.
Yeah.
Like if I put on my business hat, that's true for my business, but it's also true for the mom. Like I have to ask my husband to help with dinner. Like, hey babe, I need help. I'm not going to get home till 7 o'clock tonight.
Yeah.
What are we going to do for dinner? And love my husband, but 99% of the time he's like, okay, we'll get takeaways for
Yeah.
reservations. He has this joke that he's like, reservations? I can help with dinner. I can make reservations. Um, and it's cute, but it's also like really helpful. And sometimes I have to, when you talk about what do I tolerate, what I have to tolerate now is that my family has takeaways at least once a week. Like, but when I was a kid, my mom owned a clinic, a psychology clinic with multiple therapists, and so she was working a lot.
Yeah.
And there was a restaurant, and I remember going there once a week. Like, I just remember as a childhood memory, like, we went there once a week, and I loved it. Like, it didn't hurt my feelings. I was a kid, and I gotta, go to a restaurant once a week.
Yeah.
But I remember, and I look back now realizing she did what she had to, and that meant going out to dinner because she was working late, wanted to have dinner with the family. And
Yeah.
what we prioritize in our family is having family dinners. Sometimes I tolerate that it's in front of the television, and sometimes it's at the dining table. Like, no, I really want connection today, family, and so we're gonna sit at the dining. But every single night we have, almost every night, I would say, I can't say every night because I can't prove that, but like almost every night we have dinner as a family. And that to me makes me a good mom. That's what I've defined as good mom.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
when
That's
you think about like the failure, I always like
right.
to say failure is only a failure if you decide it is, and you're
Yeah.
the one who decides what that mark is.
Hmm.
Like if I don't hit $3 million in revenue this year for the work, does that mean I'm a failure? No, I don't think so. I can still hit 3 million the next year. It doesn't mean it failed. No, it just means I didn't hit target.
Yeah.
If I can't breastfeed my baby, does that make me a failure as a mother? I don't think so. Like, I did the best I could, and that's what I can do. And if I need to wean my baby at 3 months versus 3 years, does that make me who's the better mom? I don't think either. And so we as women have to stop thinking of us as failures. Um, we do the best you can do, and you have to realize that you're doing the best you can do, and that's all you can do,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Absolutely. Yeah. And just speaking very quickly to having help and having support to be able to do it all. Um, do you think that even if you're just a stay-at-home mom thinking about getting into business, you still need help? Like it doesn't matter
Yeah.
where we are, right? Like it doesn't matter where we are in our journey. Everybody needs everybody. We all need each other. We were created for that
Yeah.
community, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And
And I think that especially the stay-at-home moms, like that is the hardest job in the entire world. And like,
yeah,
why don't we say this? There's a reason
yeah.
why like I wanted to go back to work. I was like, this is hard. Like, I'm actually okay. I was sad to go back to work, but I was like, this whole stay-at-home mom thing is like harder than anybody gives it. And to be a stay-at-home mom and want to try, you know,
Yeah.
um, I don't even know if stay-at-home mom is the right word. Like I'm stuck on that thinking like, is that what we call it? I know there's a better word for it. It's like, you know, uh, it's a job.
Yeah.
And being a mom who's staying home with her kids and prioritizing her kids is the number one in her life. Yeah, she can still get a nanny. She can still get a cook. She
Mm.
can still get whatever she wants. Like if she needs to drop her kid at daycare for an hour or so she goes to work out, good on her. Like there's nothing wrong. And I think we need to take away that stigma, which is there's nothing wrong with asking for help. And before I met my husband, um, when with the kid's bio dad, I was married to him, and I was doing it all. I was working full time. I was paying all the bills. I was managing the house. I would come home from my like 9 to 5 job that was super stressful, and I was the breadwinner. And then I was making dinner, and I really like looking back on that. I think I put that on me. I put that all on me. I felt like I had to do it all. And
Yeah.
when I met my husband, um, he used to call me Dub Dubs, short for Wonder Woman, and he'd be like, "Okay, Dub Dub," because I was so used to. There was a long period of time that I was a single mom, right? From the time my daughter was born to 5 years old when I met Garvey, I was a single mom, and so I was used to doing it all. Like I go grocery shopping, and then I'd haul in all the, and I try and like carry everything up, and I would try and make dinner, and I would try and do all that. And he used to call me Dub Dub. He's like, I'm here to help. And I was like, oh, yeah. I didn't even think that I could ask. And I think there was a little bit of I had to let go of, and I'm not going to say it's pride. Um, but there was something about it that I felt like bad asking for help.
Yeah.
But what I found was like every single time I asked for help, he never said no. So I was like,
Yeah.
wow, there's something magical in that, right?
Yeah.
Where you can ask for help. And now, if you have a husband, for all the moms out there, and I've heard from some of my other friends, like sometimes you have a husband that's like, I'll do it later, and they never do it. So it's like, no, hubby, I need it now,
Yeah.
and I need you to do this now. And so
Yeah.
it's like, no, 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 I need you to take out the trash, and I need you to take it out now. But asking for help, and then if you have a husband that works full time, which is probably why you can afford to be the stay, like
Yeah.
let's be honest, right?
Yeah.
You can afford to be the stay-at-home mom, which is a total, it's a great place to be. And you
Yeah.
decide you want to start this new business. You
Yeah.
just need to work it out with hubby and be like,
Mhm.
hey, I'm going to need some help. So I'm going to have to do X, Y, and Z, or I'd like you to take the kids to school and I'll pick them up so that I
Yeah.
can start work early in the morning. And again, just like in life and with all the things we juggle, the relationship needs to be a balance too. Um,
Yeah.
but specifically, I should be calling out like we as women need to start asking for more help and even help from our girlfriends. Like there were so many times that I asked my friends to like come over and help me
Yeah.
with watching the kids or with babysitting. And it's why I moved close to home
Yeah.
was so that I could have that support system so that and then there's boundaries there. You got to create boundaries, and
Yeah. Yeah.
not asking for too much. My
Yeah.
mom got to the
No.
point where she was like, I can't. I'm doing everything
Mhm.
for you and it's not
Mhm.
fair. And you're treating me like a nanny and it's not fair. And I was like, oh, shoot. Like,
Yeah.
I got to take a step back. And she set her boundaries. And then I met her where her boundaries were. And then everything was great from there.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I'm hearing is when it comes to boundaries, because this podcast is all things real talk for babies, business, and boundaries. So when we're
Yeah.
talking about boundaries, one of the things is making sure you're prioritizing. That is a boundary.
Yeah.
Being fully present when it's time to be home, being fully present when it's time to go to work, being fully present as a wife, and then being fully present as a mom. And being able to do it all because you know the art of being present, but also being able to respect other people's boundaries as you're trying to do your own juggling,
Yeah.
and setting boundaries and communication and understanding with your partner and with your kids even, right? Because they have to understand that you're working. They have to understand that you're doing what you need to so you can continue to live this lifestyle where you have the time freedom and money freedom to be with them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's very helpful. And those boundaries are all those things that you're talking about. Those are what helps to make it possible, right? To be able to do
Mm-hmm.
both. And one of the last things I'll ask is what is your piece of advice for moms who are ready to embrace that? But they don't know where to start. So they're ready to embrace the art of being present and setting new boundaries so that they can carve a way and a space for them to be a mompreneur. What would you say as a piece of advice for those who are looking to do that, but they don't know where to start?
I guess there's a few pieces of that. Is one, finding the time, like where are you going to find a time and make a plan? So what does that plan look like? Are you going to are you going to wake up really early or are you going to stay up really late? Or are you going to wake up early and stay up late? Or are you going to do it at lunchtime when the kid's napping? So I think making a plan to carve out that time for yourself so you can sit down and focus. And as moms, like we get interrupted all the time, all the time. So to be hard on yourself that you're not fully present while you're trying to type out a new proposal and the baby's crying, like, it's okay, stop, go take care of the baby. like. Um, and it is good to be fully present, but I like to carve out time. So I would say that, like, carve out time, make a plan, and it's okay if the plan goes sideways, then you just make it up elsewhere. Um, and it doesn't have to perfectly fit in a box. The other thing I would say is tap your community of like female founders, female entrepreneurs. There's so many good groups out there of mompreneurs that are just starting out or just trying it out or whatever. But yeah, I think start by tapping into your community and asking them for advice and asking them where you should start because everybody can start in different places. And then one thing I really encourage, if you're starting out a business and you're a mom and you're considering it, or you're trying to get out of corporate and going to start your own business, is figure out your why. You know, for me, it was more time with the children. And so when I hold that up to the filter and I look at it, am I spending more time with the kids? Is this job worth it? Because I'm able to spend more time with the kids. And the mistake I made when I first started was, and my mom politely reminded me, was, you started this job to spend more time with the kids, but you're working nonstop and you're not really spending time with the kids. And I was like, oh, shoot, take a step back, right? But that became my why. And then your why can change as you go through. Now my why is retirement because I'm older. And so now I'm thinking about I'm I'm older and I'm planning for the, like, what does it look like when the kids when I'm an empty nester and the kids have flown the coop? Like, how do we afford their college, or, their university or master's degrees or whatever they're asking for, and how do we live that life? And so it's become very um my why for the company has been a little bit more, it's changed its focus. It's still about the family and everything else, but it has been like, okay, how do I use this as a security for the future for the
Yeah.
children?
Yeah.
But again, it's still about the kids and the family. And I think also starting, so that why is important. And then why the company? Like, why is it so important that you start a vitamin supplement company? Like, why is that so important to you? Or why is it so important you want to create like a new bra for nursing, or you want to create the next fitness app or whatever? Like, why is that so important to you? And figuring out that why. And I think once you have that, you've got that nailed, you're ready to go. Like, that's all you need to start, is figuring out your why. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Why do you want to do it? And why is it so, why this, whatever that is so important?
Yeah, no, I love that because it actually brings everything full circle, because we're talking about you being a heart disease survivor, and now it's just your why is getting back to the heart, right, of mompreneurship. And really, I think what's interesting about being a mompreneur is we're human, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm not that much different from you, who's not much different from these other people that we look up to and that we see and that we're thinking, wow, we're all human. And, getting back to the heart of things is one of the most fulfilling, purposeful reasons why we are here, to better our community, to better each other, to help each other, but also, um, yeah, to just focus on those relationships and focus on finding who we are somewhere in that, um, and realizing that we're all connectors. We're human,
Yeah.
right? I love that though, getting back to the heart of
Yeah.
things.
And I want to say that, like, for everybody listening out there, you can do it all. Like, you can. You can absolutely have it all. You can have the business, you could have the family, you can have the family time, you can have um coworkers, you can have the whole, whatever you want. It's all possible and you can have it. You have to work for it, but you can have it all. There's nothing to say that you can't have it all.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. Well, thank you so much for being our guest
Thank
today.
you.
Getting to the heart of things, figuring out our why, but also setting micro boundaries to be able to do it all. We've learned so much from you, and we know you're doing great things, and we're excited to follow your journey. I'll make sure to link where you can follow Mika below and connect with her, reach out, follow, because we all have beautiful stories and journeys. We've got to support each other, and we're just getting started. So it's very exciting. Thank you for being on our show today. And again, you're listening to Mompreneurs Making Moves with your host, Amariah Murdoch. And again, big thanks to Mika Leah.
Thank you.